Hey everybody. Oh my God. Thank you all for joining us. I really appreciate last minute that I put this up there, but you all showed up, which is so awesome. And I have this amazing, beautiful human being with me today who I was just talking to Freddie before we came on about I can't remember when I interviewed her, but it was a year ago, October. And so just to give you guys a little background, is that Freddie is a it's so confusing. Freddie is a female to male, and then decided to go back to living as a female. Correct?
Yes.
Yes. So you're using she now, right? Like going just
Yeah.
back to all the normal, but you're keeping your name
Yeah.
Freddie, which I think is really sweet and beautiful, and it's such a cute name anyway. I I don't think you should change your name.
No, I quite like it.
So welcome, Freddie. It's so great to see you. And wow,
You too.
you have just changed. Wow.
Yes.
Wow. So, for anyone who wants to watch the old interview, it's on this channel, and you can go look into interviews, and you'll see it there. And I'll put a link to this after we're done, where you can go see it. But with that, let's get into this, my friend. So Freddie reached out to me a little while ago and said that they wanted to come on and talk to me, that they were going back to living as a woman or a girl. I'm just gonna say girl. I just think you
Yeah.
look like a
Okay.
girl.
Okay.
So I don't know. Woman sounds old or something. Yeah, you're not old. So wait, before I move forward, because I'm so excited, I just have so many questions for you.
Okay.
I want to know, again, tell us how old you are and when you started to transition to a boy.
Okay. So I'm 21 now. I started to like sort of socially transition back when I was around 13 years old,
Oh
and then
wow,
medically transition. I started testosterone when I was 19, just after I turned 19. Yeah.
wow. Oh, that's right. That's what I remember. You were 13 when you like.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that, if you could. Like,
Yeah.
13 is young, as you
hmm
know. What was sort of like the catalyst for you thinking you were trans?
Um, well, I had a lot of like other mental health problems going on at the
Mm,
time,
okay.
and I was bisexual, and I was like out as bisexual at school, and so
Wow.
sort of got into a crowd of other people who like were queer. I don't like that word, but that's the only thing one I can think of right now.
That's okay.
And um, one of my friends decided to uh, transition
Mm,
female to male, and I
mm.
just remember like walking home with, I believe, still a he, um, and he said, and I said, I wanna be a man, and he was like, you can, and that was it. Like I just thought, oh, okay, I'll
Just
I'll
like
be
that.
I'll be a boy then, and then yeah,
That was it. I mean, it was
that
just
was
that
it.
simple. It was
It was
that
that
simple.
simple. One day I wasn't thinking about it, and the next day I was.
See,
Yeah,
that's what's happening. It's just
yeah,
first again. I'll probably throughout this whole thing, I'm just going to keep thanking you, friend, because it means a lot, not only to me that you would trust me with your story, but also because I think there are a lot of young people right now struggling in that position. And when you tell me 13, I'm like my mind is just can't seem to comprehend. I mean, when I was 13, I wanted to be a boy, if that makes
yeah,
sense, right? But we were called tomboys, and I knew I wasn't a boy. I never ever did I think I was a boy, right? So
yeah,
I think those are the differences. What's going on? These people are telling you that you can actually be a boy,
yeah,
and so you thought that you could actually be a boy.
indeed.
So other 13-year-olds were doing this. Then was there a large group of 13-year-olds?
Yeah, so for a few months it was just me and this one person, and then more people in the group started saying, "Oh, I'm non-binary, I'm trans," and then I think in my year group back in secondary school, there was at one point, I think like upwards of like maybe five or six people identifying as trans, and all female to male, no male to female. So
Bam.
yeah,
Thank
mm,
you for saying that. That is actually a really important part of this conversation, because
yeah,
I think the majority, first off, of people like you that I had interviewed during this time were mostly young girls wanting to be boys. I think I interviewed maybe two detransitioners from who were male to female and back to
mm,
male, right? So majority is girls, right?
yes.
Why? Why do you think?
I think, I mean, there's quite a few different reasons. One
Yeah.
could be internalized misogyny.
Mm,
Um,
mm,
I think there seems to be more of a growing trend of
yeah.
girls specifically sort of being really infatuated with gay guys.
Oh.
So like fiction and like when you see like TV shows and stuff, you see a lot of that now, especially on things like TikTok. I've seen a lot of girls
Mm,
saying, "Oh, I realized I was a trans man because I wanted to be loved by a gay man, not a heterosexual man," and things like that.
wow.
That's a trend that's growing. There's also, I think, a lot more because trans is just so much, it's talked about so much more.
Yeah.
Um, and it's seen as this like cool identity, really.
Right.
So you've got, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought.
No, it's
So
okay.
you've,
Yeah.
so yeah, you've got tomboys wanting to like just present masculine and people telling them you're trans and things like that. So
Mhm.
a whole lot of reasons.
Right. The
Um,
internet being
yeah,
one, of course. And,
yes,
so I'll get a lot of pushback from people in the trans, I use quotes, community. Well, Buck, the reason why there's so many is because now it's talked about more. I said, but wait
yeah,
a minute here. If you really felt dysphoria, you wouldn't have needed the internet to understand
mm,
that you feel like a boy or you feel like a girl,
yeah,
right? I didn't, right? I didn't. How come when I transitioned, really there was hardly any other women or girls doing it, and they also made fun of me when I did it, and I got ostracized from the gay community when I did it. And
yeah.
so it is the internet.
I mean, yeah, I kind of get the argument. It's like, yeah, okay, maybe people feel more free to come out, I suppose, but it's like, but the sheer amount of trans people, it just doesn't add up.
No,
Like you see people who are not trans, like you can tell sometimes you're gonna regret that.
that's
So,
right. That a lot. I've
yes.
interviewed like 100 detransitioners. That's a lot. I don't care if that.
Hmm.
I mean, even just one to me is a lot because they weren't even
Yeah.
around back when I was doing it. Right? We never heard of
Yeah.
them
I know
ever.
more detransitioners in my personal life. I know more detransitioners than trans people now. Yeah.
That is a profound. I hope everyone just
Yeah.
heard that, and it's not going to stop, Freddie. You know that it's actually like going. I'm watching it from afar as an elder in this. I care about you. You know that. I've always cared about you, and I don't ever want you to take this path unless it's clearly it worked for me. We can all agree, but I did it as an adult and after many years of sort of figuring out what it even means to transition, right? Like these kids think they're
Mm.
becoming boys. That's what they actually think,
Yes, they do.
right? They do. So tell us a little bit about what happened that made you think this is not for me?
Um, well, I don't know. Kind of happened overnight, kind of didn't, because I
Mm-hmm.
look back and there was a lot of um sort of missing femininity and
Mm-hmm.
just wanting so badly to not feel dysphoric and wanting to like go out and have long hair and wear a dress and um I don't know. I feel like that was like I would cosplay sort of in my room as a woman, which is quite common experience, I think, as I've connected with other detransitioners. And then, one day I just woke up uh, earlier this year and I just thought I'm gonna just try going outside. I just went to the shops like with a wig on, I put makeup on, like I shaved because I've got a bit of facial hair from the testosterone, and
Mm-hmm.
like I felt fine. So I just thought like I'm gonna settle into this slowly and be sure. But then I got so excited by it that I just instantly was like, I don't care anymore. So
Wow.
yeah,
Wow. Wow. It takes a lot. I'm sure. So during this time when you were transitioned and living as a boy, were you around other trans people? Did you have like a community of trans people?
yeah. So quite a few of my friends are trans identifying. Some transitioned medically, some not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
boys.
so
Yeah,
so you have a community of everyone doing that, but I heard something that is I heard something that you said that's very profound to me. You would go in your room and cosplay being a woman, and you said a
yeah,
lot of detransitioners talk about that.
Yes.
Wow. So,
Yeah.
in that sense, you were sort of missing that female part of yourself.
Yeah, and then just having like the dysphoria I had like about my biological sex was like completely real.
Mhm.
But I think I only feel dysphoria when I'm trying to look like a man. Whereas that's like the important distinction. Like I think I just got so used to not presenting as a woman that like whenever I did do these cosplays, I always felt like uncomfortable. But like I did it for fun and then I'd look at myself and I'd be like, oh, this is so wrong. And I'd confuse that with dysphoria. But I think it
Yes.
was just because of like some other issues going on and also
Yeah.
just because I was so used to it didn't look like me that I'd created. So yeah.
Because that wasn't the dysphoria. That there
No.
was some other. Thank you for saying that. There was other stuff going on there, and also starting at 13, and by 19 you're taking hormones. There's a lot of I don't, do I use the word brainwashing? I don't know what word I use, but you know what I mean. On some level, being sort of programmed into this idea that you have. Now, did you ever go to? And I guess I have so many questions. So, did you start to go to any therapists during this time?
I've been in therapy since I was about 11 for mental
Okay.
health problems,
Okay.
but I never had any therapy. I did see the gender clinics in the UK, which we talked about in our last
Yeah.
interview, but I never got any therapy about like dysphoria.
Wow. So how did you start taking the hormones? How'd you get them?
So um, I I just went to the GP
And they just gave them
and
to you?
well, it was a little bit of convincing because they can do
Mm,
this thing in the UK called a bridge prescription, and because the
okay.
waiting lists for the gender clinics are so long,
Hmm.
and I suppose he just sort of said, "Well, I trust that you're not going to change your mind because you've been this way for so many years since you were 13." So that was enough. And at the time, like I can't fault him for it because I convinced myself that I
Well,
had dysphoria, of course. But
yes.
I don't think even then, even when I was so happy about it, I still believed GPs shouldn't be able to do that.
No, he literally no. Again, I'm totally with you there, friend.
Yeah,
But you figured out how to manipulate the doctor, right? So at
yeah.
the same time, you're a youngster. It is up to the doctor to sort of really. That's why we have to have long-term mental health care. How many visits did you go to the GP before you started to get the testosterone?
It was one visit and one phone call.
Okay, well there you go. I'm just
Yeah,
gonna tell you. Like I agree. Like okay, the doctor, but he said I'm going to trust. What is he gonna trust a 19-year-old that you're
yeah.
not going to right? And only one or two visits. I don't even care if it was five. That's still not enough to me.
No,
And there you are taking a cross-sex hormone so easy.
yeah. He was also very uneducated on it, because he said, Um, okay, well, the only thing you should really worry about maybe is potential like blood clotting or something like that.
That was all he
And
said.
I actually corrected him, like even though at the time, like this is how like passionate I am about this, even though I was trying to get it and I didn't want to say anything that would make him change his mind. I even said, well, there are so many other things that I have to worry about, even little things like hair loss, like
I mean,
baldness.
hello.
Yeah, so I mentioned that to him, and he was just like, right. I don't think he believed me because he was the GP, you know?
Yeah, that's right. There's a lot of narcissism and ego in doctors. A
Yeah,
100%. I'm not all doctors. I'm just making a very generalized statement. But I think it's so sloppy. And you're in the UK. You're not even in the United States. Let me tell you, it's way worse over here. I mean, what I mean
I
by that, it's
know.
way easier. You don't even need to even go to a doctor here. You can just
No.
go to like a clinic, which is like make believe time,
Yeah.
right? It's Disneyland. It's Disneyland for steroids.
Oh
God.
God.
I mean, I laugh because I don't want to cry.
But it's
Seriously,
ridiculous, isn't it? No,
I don't.
I think my experience in the UK is like it's very rare. I think when I looked at the sort of
Yeah,
statistics, it was about I
yeah,
think in the 80% of GPs would say no to that.
mm,
So I
yeah.
was
That's right.
unlucky.
You were unlucky on some
Yeah.
level. I mean,
I felt lucky at the time.
of course, because
Yeah.
nobody wants to wait now, right? Nobody
No.
understands the structure of transitioning. I think
Mm.
nobody even understands the law. This is a commitment. It's not, I'm going to try it on. If I don't like it, I can stop. That's not what this is about. But I think that they're presenting it to you in a way. They don't say that to you, but you understand what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that they really, because from what you're telling me, you didn't even really get just blood clots. You didn't get any of the other information that
No.
would have made you have a more informed sort of choice. And all this time, were you going to any mental health care around this?
Not around that, no.
Not around that, your other
No.
stuff that was going
So
on with you.
in like therapy, for my BPD, I remember talking about it. But I think the thing is, I was talking about a little bit how I'm worried that it was the dysphoria was related to other things,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
they have to be really careful not to agree with you. I think more really should be done to allow therapists to say, okay, let's treat you, say for me at the time, like if she's just treated me as a woman,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then explored why that makes me feel uncomfortable,
Mm-hmm.
that would be seen as transphobic. So that they're trying to be really careful. So she was like, no, no, no. Like she agreed with me on so many like things that are controversial about the trans activism and stuff like that. But she couldn't
Yeah.
say that I wasn't trans. She couldn't say, let's explore that you might not be. She just had to, yeah,
Legal.
validate
So
it.
legally, like, because I
I
think it's
don't,
the same here.
yeah, I don't know about the legality of it, but I do think it's more just she could get fired sort of
Yeah.
thing. And I think
Right.
that's that, yeah,
Well, we call that here in the United States affirmation therapy, right? So the patient walks
mm,
in and it's the patient note. It's just ridiculous. Aren't you going to therapy to figure out what's going on with you? So if you're walking to a therapist and you say, I feel like Mickey Mouse," and the therapist affirms that you are Mickey Mouse, how are you getting help? Because to me, that's when you say I'm trans and they don't my therapist pushed on me for years. I mean, literally 2 or 3 years
yeah,
of what does that even mean that you feel like a man, right? What is that
yeah.
until until the hormones? But you basically can say I feel trans and they're supposed to just say, "Okay, we're good with that."
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like that's what happened in school as well. Like one day I'm a girl, the next I'm like, call me this and he, him, and all this, and everyone does it. No, none of the teachers
Yeah.
are allowed to like disagree or push back on it.
Oh my god,
Parents
friend.
are told that they're transphobic. Parents are told that they're abusive if they don't push back on it these days,
Yeah.
and it's
That's
yeah,
right. That's right. Here too. I mean, there's very many similarities here, but as you know, we got a new president in the United States who's going to
yeah,
actually end a lot of this, and I will tell you that I agree with it. It's not going
yeah,
to be like La La Land anymore. We're not going to just be giving out hormones to young people, and it's not going to affect me. By the way, Freddie, these people are
yeah,
lying. It's not going to
yeah,
affect adults. It's going to affect young people like yourself who should have never been put in this position, and it's a shame that you were put in this position. So I want to get more into the sort of detransition part. So when you were living as Freddie the boy,
yeah.
did you feel like you were happy?
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't feel like it was. I mean, there were times where I sort of doubted it, but
Mm-hmm.
I just thought, well, even if at one point I just thought even if the dysphoria is caused by other things like trauma and stuff, it's still probably never going to go away.
Mm-hmm.
So I just, yeah, it wasn't a big part of my life being trans, like it wasn't. So
Okay.
I just was, I thought I was happy, and then in comparison to how I feel now, I was like, wow, I wasn't even that happy.
Wow. So tell
Yeah.
me about your parents a little bit. How are they dealing with all of this?
They're absolutely chuffed. So they were. So my mum was a bit more pushbacky on the whole trans thing, but she loved me. Like she wasn't
Sure.
ever like anti-transition. She was just
Mhm.
anti-transition while I was still young, really.
Right. Which is smart.
Um, yeah, very smart. And then my dad, he was very supportive outwardly, but I think, well, we've talked about it, and
Mm-hmm.
inside he was thinking, I really don't want this for my child,
Yeah.
so worried. So yeah, now that I told them that I'm detransitioning, they're
Mhm.
just really pleased. It's a big relief for them.
Yeah, I think that's so awesome, and I think your parents did you a service. They didn't alienate you, which is a
No.
I feel so sad for these parents. As a parent
Mm.
myself, and also as a transsexual, I mean, if my kid came to me and was like, "I'm trans," I wouldn't be happy about that. I
No,
wouldn't.
I wouldn't. I always thought that it's like even when I was what did still living as trans, I was I really hope I don't have kids that are trans in the future,
That's
or
right.
think they're trans. I've thought about that so much actually.
Yeah, because
It's not anti-trans.
no, it's
It's not a
not,
good
friend.
thing.
It's not, friend. You know what it is? It means you care about your kid because I don't want anybody to take this road unless they 100%. It used to be the
Mm,
last resort, right? We used to go through
mm,
all this therapy and all this stuff and try to figure it out. And I lived many lives before I transitioned. And then,
mm.
by the end of by the beginning of my 30s, I'm like, nope, I'm going to do this thing. But, I really went through that situation. And I don't think we're giving kids well, we're not. I don't care what anybody says. We are not giving kids time to think about. And also, you were dealing with some other mental health issues,
Yeah.
right? How are those going today? Do you feel like you've dealt with
Um,
them?
Mostly, yeah.
Great.
I'm not in therapy right now, because
Great.
I just sort of got discharged from everything. I was like,
Hmm.
pretty much it's just up to me now to keep up what I know about managing my mental health.
Good for you. You're a
Yeah.
very smart person. When I interviewed you, I remember you. I feel like you're very mature for your age. And also, let's talk a little bit about the community. Do they all know you're detransitioning? Your group of people.
Yeah, the sort of I was a bit worried about being open about it, see how
Hmm.
but I really didn't need to be there.
Hmm.
My friends who are I've got like some of my closest friends are drag queens,
Great.
non-binary,
Great.
um I go to university now and
Great.
there's a whole load of people identifying as trans in my year of 15, no, 14 of us. There's about five people identifying as trans. And
Wow.
I'm so open about that I'm a detransitioner because it's kind of important in what I do because I do acting. And so, like, my voice, for instance, is like I've had to really train it to sort of be able to speak at this level, and it's still not quite right, sort of thing. And
Hmm.
um, Freddie, the name, like, some people ask questions about that. And so I don't care. I'm quite happy with just like telling the truth about myself.
Well, first off, I don't think your voice sounds totally like
No, it's
male.
not
It
completely
doesn't.
ill.
And also, Freddie is kind of a girl boy. A lot of girls
Yeah,
or boys
yeah,
have.
there, yeah,
Yeah, I don't think
yeah.
it seems weird for a girl to
No,
be calling herself Freddie. I just think
no,
that's the
it's fine.
last. And also, so tell me a little bit about how you started to go off of the testosterone. Did you just quit?
Well, I was on Nebido, which was like injections that I did every 12 or so weeks. So I
Oh.
just had I didn't have to really do anything. I just had to stop, and it's like slowly fading out. Sort of,
I see. Was that an
yeah.
implant or it was an actual shot that just
Yeah, it was a shot,
slow
slow
released?
release. Yeah.
Yeah. So you just stopped going to the doc. Did have the doctors contacted you? Has anyone in that sort of healthcare space contacted you?
So funnily enough, a day after I decided to detransition, I finally got my appointment at the gender clinic
Hmm.
for my like final assessment, which is where they do the proper diagnosis. Well, I mean,
Hmm.
on my medical record it says that I'm diagnosed, but I don't think I have been. I think the GP just wrote that down, but no, a proper diagnosis, treatment plan sort of thing. And I've been waiting
Hmm.
years for that,
Hmm.
genuinely years. And so the day after I decided to transition, they contact me, we've got an appointment for you. And I was so like, what if I change my mind about this? Like, do I cancel? But if I don't cancel, then what if I go down this rabbit hole of like just
Yeah.
holding on to it? And I really don't want to hold on to it.
Yeah.
So I called them, said I'm detransitioning, take me off your service. They tried to keep me on. They tried to say, no, you can stay on, just in case, or we can talk about this a little bit more. And I just said, no, I just want to be done with it. Like, if I like,
Wow.
yeah, it I was a bit worried about that actually because I was so scared that they were gonna say like, "Oh, just stay," and I would be like, "All right,
That's right. Well, that actually gave me
yeah,
the chills because that feels
yeah."
very manipulative.
It does feel a bit. I think they were genuinely just trying to help, but it's like, I think if someone's
What?
come to that decision that they're going to detransition, it's like, brilliant, great, bye. Like that should be the reaction. Like we don't want people to go through all of that.
It was because it's not about you. And this is
Mm,
why, thank you again, Freddie, for being here. Thank you for being so honest. Thank you for helping save somebody else will watch this and they'll feel, oh my gosh, Freddie actually helped me realize I'm not this way. But the thing, they don't want that to get out there because, I do believe some of this, it's so gross, I'm going to say it, but I do believe some of this has to do with a financial space. And I think,
mm,
they've built a whole financial platform. If you're you're basically a customer, so it's like a store. When you lose
yeah.
customers, you're not making any more money, and it doesn't become that space anymore. So as a customer, they don't want to lose you. They're like, oh wait, we can give you 25% off. Come back. Really, it's so horrifying that they would do that. So, and then also they could have said, oh well, would you like to talk to a maybe a therapist about detransitioning? But did they even offer you any of that space?
Um, See, I asked what they sort of do with detransitioners,
Yeah,
because it's like, what if I then wanted to? I don't know, I don't, but what if I wanted, surgery on my voice to get it back to sort
right.
of more female sounding like, and they were just like, oh, that's not, that we don't do that. And I was like, well, I was expecting that. Support wise, they don't know, they just offer support for people transitioning, not detransitioners.
Wow.
So they did say, go to GP about stopping the hormones.
Yeah.
GP was clueless because it's not, he had to then ask them again. Um, like for information on it. And so they
What?
replied, they could have just told me rather than me having to make an appointment with my GP. Like
That
it's
has to
such
do
a
with
mess.
legal. That's some legal thing. But the thing is, you're saying the
Yeah.
GP doesn't even know. Look, I've been on this stuff for 30 something years, right? They don't know. If
No,
I
I even
stop,
went there, yeah. I
yeah,
just said, I know you don't know anything about this, but I'm stopping testosterone. Do you know? Like, I know you don't, but I have to ask, like, I'm supposed to. Like, is it fine? Do I just go straight off it sort of thing? Yeah.
yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, and they don't know. Honestly, though, let me tell you, it can actually really not be healthy to do that because you're shocking your body. If your
Yeah.
body's used, so you were on it for how many? You 19. You start? Did you get
No,
21 or? Yeah,
so I think it was just over a year and a half that I was on
year
it.
and a half, a year and a half, which is
Yeah,
still a lot. I
yeah,
mean, don't discount that, Freddie. A year and a half
no,
is a lot of time for a female body to be putting
mm,
testosterone, which is, we
yeah,
have, as females, we have obviously a small amount of testosterone, but nowhere
yeah,
near the amount. I mean, for anyone on the thumbnail, I put Freddie's picture when they were presenting as a male, and you're going to see like literally two different people. It's crazy. It looks like your
mm,
brother.
yeah,
Totally. I mean, you look so great. You look so female. I don't think anyone, even I'm going to keep telling you, I don't even think your voice sounds masculine. It just
I
sounds
think
like,
yeah.
some girls have a little bit deeper
I think
voice.
it's fine. I think it's when I sort of shout or if I like sing, it
Okay.
sounds like a man. Like I have to stay quite quiet to keep it at this level. So often,
Oh.
if I'm out and I have to sort of raise my voice a bit, I do get sort of people thinking I'm a trans woman.
Oh, wow.
But
Never thought that.
no, it's a bit difficult sometimes when that happens. It's because it's just so sad. It's like, oh, 2 years ago, if I just hadn't grown up, yeah. There's,
Don't be.
but
Don't be.
it's not that.
Don't.
But I'm very lucky because
Yeah.
I didn't grow a lot of facial hair. I didn't have any dangerous side effects. I didn't start
Yeah.
balding yet. Like I
Yeah.
am very lucky. So the only things that are really sticking are the voice and body
Right.
hair. And body hair I can remove, and the voice I've been training, so I'm very
What
lucky.
about, I remember you had a small little
Yes,
mustache,
I
but
had a
that went
small little.
away? Did it go
Well,
away?
it didn't go away. I just shave it, and I'm doing like IPL treatments and stuff.
Which is like, is that electrolysis? Is that
It's
that?
it's like just powerful light that targets pigment and
Oh,
damages
right.
the
That's
cells.
right. I think
Yeah,
they do that also for tattoo removal, actually, because it
something
targets
similar.
pigment.
It's something
Yeah.
similar. Yeah.
It's kind of painful, isn't it?
Well, I do an at-home one, so it's like it's very like in certain areas it's like more painful, but for like more finer hairs, I don't feel it at all. It's just hot.
I mean, you can't really even see anything like that, but it must. Oh man, how does it? I mean, if I ask two personal questions, just say so. But I'm just worried about you and how you feel. How you feel? Do you feel sad or do you feel mad? Maybe mad or any of those things?
It's quite a few emotions going on. There are some
Yeah.
positive ones because I just feel very proud of myself and I feel so much more connected to my childhood self, who for ages I was so ashamed of because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't, photos. As soon as I decided to do transition, I got all these photos of me out of me looking like a girl because I was, but I just put them up and I just felt proud of myself. So that was all very healing, but it's also very sad and there's regret there. It's not massive, but it's
Mm-hmm.
there. Um, because I just miss singing and I miss feeling confident in my voice, not even worrying about that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, mad,
Mad. I want you to be
mad.
mad.
I
I
am.
can't, I feel sad. I do. I feel very sad that, not sad for you, but sad that these people took you down this path. As I sit here as an elder transsexual, right? And it clearly did work for me.
Yeah.
It's why these conversations are very important to me because I don't want people to also not think that people like me need this medicine, but
Mm,
never does a young person ever. I will stand by those words till the day I die. I won't. No, nobody. Because you prove it. And so many of
mm,
you are proving it. And they could have done something else for you, right?
yeah.
Maybe they could have just said, oh, maybe you're just really masculine. And so, oh, I want to go back to, well, I think when you said you were 13, you were also identifying your sexuality, right? So
Yeah.
you're bisexual, you said, or pansexual. What did you say?
Bisexual. Yeah.
Which I find very fascinating too at 13. I mean, I'm not saying 13 you can't be, kind of coming into your
Yeah.
sexuality, but I don't know if I'm just being an old fuddy duddy right now, an old fart.
No. Yeah. I know what you mean. It's. I think at the time, I think I just started having little crushes on girls in my year. So I
Right,
just, but I was
right,
so like I was a weird kid. Like I was, because of
right.
all the like the mental health problems and like trauma, I was very sort of attention seeking,
Mm,
and so I didn't think twice. But I was the first in my year group to come out as anything
yeah,
LGBT, and it was
okay.
just like I didn't. I got a few weird looks, but like I didn't care. Like, and then I suppose, yeah, but I don't know. Like, I wasn't totally confident in my sexuality, but I've always been trying to find myself because I've got like hell of a lot of identity confusion because of the BPD. And so
Oh,
I was just
right.
like, 1 month it was like, oh, I'm gay. And then the next it was, bi. And then it was gay again. And then it was bi. And then it was, I'm
Oh.
trans. So,
See, it's a gateway. It's a gateway
yeah,
drug. Because I notice a lot of the young kids are saying like I came out as pansexual or bisexual or whatever, and then next thing you know they are transsexual or I'm sorry transgender, trans mask seems to be trans mask non-binary right now seems
yeah.
to be the biggest sort of identity choice for I think your generation of people.
Mm,
I was because I do think start coming into your sexuality around that age, right? Puberty starts to when did you
yeah.
start puberty? At what age?
Um, just like start puberty just before I was 12.
Oh, so you already had gone through sort of puberty.
Yeah, yeah,
Were you sort of growing breasts? Were things showing that were more
yeah,
feminine and
yeah.
you were not comfortable with your body?
Um,
Or you were?
I wasn't uncomfortable with it.
Oh.
I think I've sort of said to myself, oh, yeah, I started feeling like dysphoric when after puberty, but it's not entirely true. I actually
Mm.
started to feel dysphoric after I came out as trans. If
I'm not
if
laughing. I'm not
no,
laughing.
no, but
What?
if I'm
What?
totally honest, that is what
Yeah.
happened. Yeah.
Thank you for saying. I mean, wow, that is a very powerful statement, friend. That is
Yeah.
so right. Everyone, she just said it. Like she was fine until they started stamping you with these labels, right? Like you're trans, and then you're like, maybe I don't like my body. So I think it does. It leads to you as a youngster starting to question yourself, right?
Yeah.
Wow, that is actually they put on some level they kind of put you into this position to question if you are. Did you ever think you were a actual boy?
Um, no. Like
Mm,
even when I was pretty indoctrinated early on,
mm-hmm,
and I believed, if you feel like you're a boy, you're a boy sort of thing. But I never felt like a boy. It's just I wanted to look like one, but also I didn't.
mm-hmm.
Like it's so confusing because I love being feminine. But
Right,
at the time I wanted to present as a boy, and that's why I think it's linked to trauma. Um,
right. Me too.
because that's not who I am. Like, but even then, I've always felt like, what does it mean to feel like a woman? Do you know what I mean? But like, I have,
Totally.
yeah,
I know. People ask me all the time. I remember back in the day, they used to ask me, "So, Buck, what does it mean to be a man?" I'm like, "Are you kidding?" I don't even think men know what it. I like. No, I don't have any clue what it
no,
means to feel like a man. I still don't. Right? I walk the world. You know me. I'm very open about myself and being
yeah,
a female and all of that. And I just look like a dude, so that people say he to me. I don't get all like. I just feel more comfortable in these
yeah.
clothes. Do you think? You think it could have just so prior to you changing to this identity, were you dressing more masculine or were you dressing really feminine
Um,
or like
I
between?
was dressing pretty masculine at the
Okay.
time. I think
Yeah.
I wasn't like a huge tomboy, but
Yeah.
other girls did think I was a tomboy
Mm,
at times.
mm,
I think also when I started exploring my sexuality and leaning into the sort of more uh well that sort of community of
mm.
like lesbians and bisexual women, I just sort of was like I want to be more like tomboyish. I started
Totally.
trying to look like a lesbian sort of thing. Um,
Right. I mean, I was a
but then
full on
yeah,
les. I get
yeah, we're
it.
talking like 12 years old as well.
I know. So
Yeah,
was I. I remember I started
yeah,
feeling that way towards girls on my
yeah,
or what you call football team, right? On all the
yeah,
sports teams. We were all little lesbians. we just like didn't know what we were going through, like fish out of water, right? And
yeah,
you're struggling with your sexuality. It's all normal. All of that is completely, totally normal. What is
yeah.
not normal is to tell a girl she can be a boy, right? And all of a sudden you're
Hmm.
trans, and all of a sudden you're shoved into this space of this new identity and then it's so great. Thank you, Freddie. This is so great. I'm wondering um, when they shoved you into that space and then you started going with. I think you did tell me there were thoughts at some points of this time, or if I'm misspeaking, let me know that you were kind of questioning it. Did you ever start to question, am I really trans?
Yeah, a lot. So
Mm,
there was a period of time, I believe, when I was 13,
mm,
where it's so vague what was going on through my mind at the time. But for about, I think maybe 2 months, I just completely dropped the trans label and I just went back to presenting as a girl. And then at some point, I just went back to the trans label. Um, which that's I don't know what was going on there, but that
right.
happened. And then since then, I was constantly questioning it because I think remember saying to you in the last interview that it was up to me because therapists wouldn't do it and the gender clinics wouldn't do it. It was up to me to constantly evaluate if it was actually the right decision. Um,
Wow.
and I remember a lot of the time I would question this one thing, and it was if I'd never heard of trans people at 13,
Yeah.
if I'd didn't have the friends that I had at 13, would I still be trans? And often I was like, probably not. But now I've got this dysphoria, so what, like,
What?
I'm just gonna continue with the transition. Yeah,
They gave you dysphoria.
pretty much, I'd say.
Yeah.
Well, I sort of gave it to myself in a way. It's kind of the same thing happened to me when I was 11. I just decided I was going to have an eating disorder. So I started telling that
Mm,
this links
mm,
to the sort of attention seeking that I was doing at the time, and it was like I'm I have an eating disorder. I started telling people, and then I developed one, and I still have one now to this day,
Yeah,
on and off, like not constantly. I'm all right
sure.
now, but it's yeah. The same thing happened with being trans. I just
Well, attention.
gave
See, so I'm
myself it.
wondering. So you said you went. I'm sorry about the eating disorder. I had one of those when I was a young
Yeah,
person too. I think women, girls struggle a lot with that. Though I do think boys struggle with it too. We just don't
yeah,
have those, right? Like boys, we don't have the same conversations. Boys are in
no,
this really hard line structure that they can't
very
cry.
true.
You can't be this. You can't have
Yeah,
these. You can't be effeminate. Then you're gay, right? There's just so many levels of these things that are
mm,
just. That's why kids are put in these weird positions that they have to. It all comes down to gender stereotypes. But before I lose my train of thought, I want to say there was that 2 months where you decided you weren't going to be trans. Do you
mm.
think there was something you were missing also, maybe from community or from other people, like maybe, or was it just within your own self?
Honestly, I can't
Mm,
really remember what was going on
okay.
through my head. I just
Yeah.
know that that happened.
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah.
I suppose after that, I sort of thought, oh, maybe I'm what this new thing people are talking about, non-binary.
Mm,
Like that's what if I'm that? Because what if sometimes I feel dysphoric and sometimes I don't, and
yeah.
that's gonna happen forever. But then it didn't. I just sort of didn't want to be non-binary, so I just wasn't.
Well, because you can
Yeah.
just pick and choose. I mean,
Yeah.
really, basically, you can just pick and choose, and
Yeah.
what you don't even need dysphoria. You just
No,
don't even have to have dysphoria to be trans, which is like what? I don't get. You don't need
that
an
makes no
eating
sense.
disorder to have an eating disorder. Like that's basically what they're saying. I mean, eating disorders are hard to get away from. I think people who
Yeah.
I know and also my own struggle with that. It is really a difficult, a lot of people live with it for their whole lives. But the fact that you sort of know that, I think you're ahead of the game, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So let's wow, this is such a great interview. Thank you, Freddie. You're so sweet and lovely and you look amazing. I just gonna have to tell
Thank
you
you.
again. I think you look so great and so like just grounded and you look so pretty and I see this, I don't see this. I see this like confidence in yourself.
Yeah. I feel
Yeah, and you
good.
have a great smile. It's so
Thank
great.
you.
And the voice, don't let the voice bother you. Whatever is going to happen from that,
No.
it's going to happen and maybe you could just go to some have you thought about voice lessons?
Well, at my uni, we've got voice teachers, and
Mm,
I mean they've worked with trans women before. One of them, my friend,
great.
so they know a lot
Great.
about that. And
Great.
I know a lot about voice, and also I've read that some detransitioners their voice lightens a bit as the estrogen comes
Sure.
back, sort of thing. So
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of time for my voice to change.
Tons. You're a baby.
Yeah,
You're 21,
yeah.
friend. Don't think you're. Also, I want to ask you about any surgeries. Did you get any surgery?
I didn't, thank goodness. Thank goodness.
God loves
Um,
you. God loves you.
yeah,
I'm not even kidding. Oh
yeah,
my God, that is actually the best news ever.
yeah. I was going to, but then as I got older, it's like, right, I'll wait until I'm 25 to make that decision
Wow.
because I sort of was like, right, if I'm already having doubts, I need to be at least my brain needs to be fully developed before I go through surgeries.
Wow.
Um, so I mean, I'm 21, so I didn't get anywhere near that. And
Thank
look,
God.
look at me now. But yeah, no,
Wow.
I wasn't. If I could have paid for them, if I had the means to go
Mm.
private, I probably would have had surgery by now. Um,
Wow. Well, that's
so
here.
thank goodness I'm not rich. I'll never say that again in my life.
Yeah, but a lot of kids here are doing it like 16, right?
Yeah,
16. Can you imagine? And they're doing like GoFundMe campaigns and they're getting money from the community people and the community raises all this money to give to young people to go get these surgeries done. And
yeah,
I'm just like, that's why we've got to hear from people like you who did not do that. Sir, there's enough time to wait for it all, right?
of course there
How
is. Yeah,
dare we rush you into getting your breasts removed? How
yeah.
dare we make like that's just going to alleviate all the dysphoria. I did it. So I still have dysphoria, by the way. 30 something years into this, I would
Hmm.
say I get dysphoric sometimes about someone knows I'm a female, right? Or someone
Yeah,
knows that I don't know if it ever actually goes away. And I think we're lying to people when we say transition will take away your dysphoria. That's not true. You still have to work on it
Mm.
forever.
You'll always know that you're not biologically a man,
That's
and
right. I'm
that's
not.
always going to be there.
That's right.
So, of course, you're
That's
always going to have a level of dysphoria.
Yes, that's right. Always. And that's the lie that they're
Yeah.
telling. Well, they're also telling you that you can be a man or you can be a woman. You cannot. That
No.
is a complete total lie. And that's why the dysphoria will never go away. And you have to make those choices as an adult, right? Like there's certain
Of
things
course,
that we
yeah.
have for kids and certain things that we sort of put in place so that a child, like, look at, I'm tattooed all over my body, by the way, right? I
Yeah.
haven't had a tattoo in over 10 years, and I would never get another tattoo, to be honest. I wish I have crappy tattooed, like gnarly tattoos. I wish I never did,
Me
right?
too. Me
But
too.
but who was there to say, well, I was 21 when I started tattooing, by the way. But that being said, do you think a 15-year-old can make these choices and they don't let them get tattooed? Why don't they let them?
No.
But why would they let you
But
take your
I
breasts off?
know. Oh, it's just, I mean, it's like, I get, because as someone who quite recently was this 16-year-old, 15-year-old, desperately wanting to transition, desperately wanting hormones, just couldn't wait for it.
Wow.
But then I did wait, and then I was like 19. I mean, I remember being 13 and thinking, right, I'll probably be on testosterone by the time I'm 16. And then I wasn't. And then, right, I'll probably be on testosterone by the time I'm 18. And I
Mhm.
wasn't. And then it was when I was 19 and I was finally on it. And that time went like that. So if I just waited like another 4 or 5 years,
That's right.
like that would have gone by so fast. There is never any rush, and that's like a big thing. I was
Thank you.
still having doubts even when I was on testosterone, and before testosterone, I was still having doubts about it.
Mhm.
And I think anyone who has even a small amount of
Oh my
any
God.
doubt,
Eh,
just don't, just wait. I know it's like
Thank
you want to
you.
rush into it, but please, for the love of God, just wait.
Oh my God, it's so crazy
Oh,
that there's certain laws for, like, okay, so what? You can't even get an ear piercing, I think, on certain spaces. You can't even do these,
mm,
can't even drink a beer. You're not legally allowed to drink a beer here. But I mean, to me, if it was like if we had to pick and choose, I'd let the kid drink a beer before I would let them remove their breasts.
yeah,
There's just really no
me
comparison.
too.
But the fact that the fact that they won't let you drink a beer, but they will let, and also
Yeah.
penis surgery. A lot of I didn't do that. I'm glad I didn't do it. It was a choice,
Mm,
amazing choice that I made, and my life is amazing. I have nothing to complain about. But that being said, now they're really pushing this penis surgery in the trans man mask space, and all of these guys are doing. Look, I really don't want people to think I'm making judgment here. I'm not. But what I'm saying is it's not worth it. It doesn't work. It's not a penis. They take stuff from your arm. They do. These kids have wounds on their arms that is just, mind blowing. And it's not a penis. It's something, it's just a thing. It's just, I don't know.
anyone who likes dick won't want that.
There you go.
So
Yeah, there you go.
if you're doing it in hopes that other people will
Yes.
want to be with you as a man,
Yes.
like don't. If you're doing it because genuinely like this horrible, I think, surgery that it will actually make you feel better, then all right, it's not my place to judge, but
But we have to. You know what? That's why I say it, because, like, I don't even care what people think about me. I think you know that already about me, because I'm too old to care, and I care about you. I actually care about you,
yeah.
Freddie. I don't care what those other people think about me, because they don't do anything for me. I care about people who are honest. I care about you being happy. I care
Hmm.
about the fact that you went through a system that you should have never, ever, ever been led down. They failed you. The therapist failed you. The medical space failed you. The community failed you. Right? I think all of these
Yeah.
people, you were reaching out for help. You weren't asking to be put in a position like this.
Mm. Especially as I got older. I mean, for about 3 years before starting any hormones, I genuinely was asking, like almost begging therapists to
Yeah.
explore
Yeah.
my like trauma and see if that could have anything to do with it, and it just didn't happen.
Which is bizarre to me. Like, how can they say they? How can they call it the NHS and
Yeah.
a trans, medical? How can they call it any of that when none of it exists? If you can't, what, me, I always talk about the mental aspect. This is a mental disease. This is a mental just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Dysphoria. It's not, your body comes
Your
second.
body's not wrong. Your body is not wrong.
That's right. I'm not
Yeah.
in the wrong body. I just fixed my body to be more masculine and I feel presenting, but it's not the wrong body. It's the same body. You're just,
Yeah.
you know, I'm so I always like to use this also, like here in America we have tons, I don't know about there in the UK, but we do a lot of women and even men now do what's called plastic surgery, right? Where they get big
Mm.
boobs put on or butt implants or cheek implants, not even trans people.
Hmm.
So it's a huge business to sort of body modification on
Yeah.
your body. And we've really pushed these ideas of the perfect body, right?
Yeah. I've always
Yeah.
thought that sort of argument about, um, well, the reason we let young people get surgery and not like tattoos is because, well, it's alleviating this stress that they're going through every day. And
Hmm.
it's like,
Hmm.
well, you can have a child. Like when I was a kid, well, still even now, but when I was a minor, I was like really self-conscious about my nose and I wanted a surgery on my nose, but they weren't going to give me that because I was a child. So I mean, yes, that would alleviate some stress that I was going through, like some quite intense stress that I was
That's
going
right.
through, but they don't give you that. So why would they let
So
you
why, and why wouldn't they?
change your
Why would,
sex?
and thank God they didn't, because you have a great nose, by the way. That being, no, I'm not kidding. I love noses. I actually like big noses. But that,
I'm
and
starting to
my
like it now.
partner has a, my partner the same. I love those noses, right? So anyway, that being said, what if you did do that, right? What if
Mm,
you actually did do that and then you changed your mind, just like top surgery? You can't
yeah.
reattach your old, and so I guess my question is, why wouldn't they let a child have no surgery? Why do you think they're not letting a kid make that choice? Because they can't.
Yeah.
They
Um,
can't.
I just don't even feel like you need to ask that question. I mean, it's a child. Um,
No, it's true. You can't. There's a
yeah,
reason we have laws, a reason we have stop signs and red lights, and you know what I mean? Or everyone would just be driving into each other. We need to have a stop sign here. Nope, you can't. I even think 18 is too young. I mean, I know I sound old,
yeah.
but I
I
do.
think I honestly, as someone who's 21 and I've started now to feel the brain developing a bit more,
Oh,
like
wow.
I still know I'm like completely not fully there yet. Like I recognize
Wow.
I'm still probably not mature enough to, I mean, some people, I don't know. I'm still probably not mature enough to make a life-altering decision like that,
No, you're
like
not.
irreversible.
You're not.
Um, so I think 25 should be the age because of the whole brain development thing.
There
But
you go.
you know,
That's great. That no, but you know, you're mature for your age, which is a big deal. But that be,
yeah.
I'm immature for my age. Okay, so there you go. But that being said, you're right. The brain does have a way of thinking that is different when you're 25 than when you're 18. And again, we're not talking about a tattoo. Okay, yeah, I have crappy tattoos I wish I never got. But honestly, if I wanted to go have laser removal, I
Yeah.
could do that, and it
Yeah.
would probably go away. But if this isn't affecting my life, if that makes sense, right? It's just
Yeah.
okay. I can
Yeah.
wear a long sleeve shirt if I have to go speak somewhere that's really like
Yeah.
very conservative. I can sort of look like conservative. But if I remove my breasts or get a penis or get a vagina and then I change my mind, no, no, I don't understand why we're not talking about the fact that there is no reversing. That's why you are so lucky that you
Hmm.
didn't. I mean, the little hair stuff, it really does
It's
suck, I'm sure, but
yeah, but it's honestly like it's not forever, you know. I
good
can get that
attitude.
removed if I want to, or I can shave
Yeah,
every day if I wanted to. Like,
yeah, good
yeah. I
attitude.
mean, I've seen in detrans spaces just
Yeah,
the grief that detrans women go through if they've had surgery to
yeah,
get rid of their breasts, and it's just I can't imagine. I don't like.
no.
I would really struggle to cope with that, I think.
Oh my
Um,
gosh,
so,
I interviewed
so huge.
boy, a young boy who transitioned to be a girl. I think
Hmm.
at maybe 16 or something, and got the penis taken off and a vagina put on, and now is just in a deep hole of depression. And I think they're 22 or something, and they just hate everything, and they just can't believe that adults let them do it. And I'm like, that they, and you know that they try to suppress these stories, the ones like you and I are
Yeah.
talking about. The community, are you getting any hate at all from any space in the community, like online or anything like that?
Well, I've been like sort of away from the online
Good for you.
community for
Good
a
for you.
while. You know, I think I'm very lucky that my friends just love me for me. They don't
Yeah,
care like
great,
what I look like, how
great.
I'm presenting myself. Um, yeah, I've been appreciated for me rather than
Well,
detransitioning.
says again a lot about you because you surround yourself with people who actually do care about you and they're not these
Yeah,
fake sort of when the trans community comes after detransitioners. I just am appalled.
and
Like, why? Why?
the
I feel
things I have
sorry.
seen,
Oh,
not directed towards me, but the things I have
sure.
seen, like the community against detransitioners, it's like they're saying things like in a much more vile way, but basically
Yeah.
you're invalidating my experience. Things like you were never trans, and it's like, well, I genuinely had quite severe dysphoria about my sex,
Mm-hmm.
and like you're invalidating me. So like, it goes both ways. But it's
That's
like
right.
that's the point though, because it's important that detransitioners are talked about as much as like people transitioning, because it's just this misconception
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
you are trans forever if you have dysphoria.
That's right. You can actually grow out of it. You
Of
know,
course you, yeah.
a lot of people live with dysphoria forever,
Hmm.
never transition. Just, I've
Yeah.
interviewed people like that who say I always wanted to be a boy, but I just decided that I can live this way. And so we're lying when you're saying like it's a life or death situation, or
Hmm.
no, there's other stuff going on there. If it's life or death, there is other comorbidities or things that are making you feel like offing yourself. It's not just the trans space,
No.
right? So oh man, we're doing such a disservice to the young people. And I think by you being here today, Freddie, and you being so open and honest about your journey just means the world to me and to so many. I feel emotional about it because it just makes me sad that you even had to go through that. But maybe this is going to be a journey that is going to catapult you to be a stronger human on some level, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I already feel so much stronger in myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you seem it. I mean, not that you didn't seem like it before. I mean, but I just see it didn't destroy you, which I think
Mm,
says so much about you, and it really says how powerful you are. And um,
yeah.
so, if there's anything you want to say before we end the interview,
I
or
think a couple of things. So like on
yeah,
that, um, I thought it was going to destroy me. That's one of the things that
mm,
made me like put it off, this idea of
mm,
experimenting with presenting as a woman again.
right,
Because I just thought, well, if I change my mind and I'm not trans, I've already been on testosterone. The regret I'll feel, and like then I'll have to tell everyone, and my family will be like, well, I told you so, sort of thing. Not my whole family, but a
yeah,
few of them. And
yeah,
what if I lose my friends?
yeah,
And oh, well, I can't post on social media because then everyone who follows me on Instagram will like see that, and it's just this whole thing. And then I just went, right, I switched that off in my brain. I just thought, I don't care about it. And you know what, instead of people asking me about it and all this dread of talking about it, I'm the one bringing it up. I'm like, yeah, I'm a detransitioner, just so you know. um, Sort of thing. No, I'm not making it like a big thing. It's like sort of if it comes up, you know.
yeah,
But
right.
they're not. They're sort of like, oh, I didn't want to ask about it, but I noticed that you were presenting female again, and because I've brought it up, you know.
Yes.
Um, so I'm just so confident in that decision. And another thing that I think is very important for people to know, especially people that might be in a similar situation to me, I was so happy while I was on testosterone. So, like, I was
Mm,
really happy with the
mm,
testosterone. The
mm,
changes that were happening,
mm,
the beard growth, the even the body hair. Like, I never even thought I'd want body hair, but I was like, yeah, no, this is great. I've got these
yeah,
man legs now, and my voice. I
yeah.
was so like, and it was genuinely up until the day that I decided to detransition that I was happy with it. Um, so that is not necessarily an indicator that you are trans, because that is the thing that I thought, well, I'm not feeling dysphoric about this, like my body getting all masculinized. so I must be trans.
Wow.
So you've really got to evaluate yourself, and if you have any doubts, wait, because you might feel really happy with the changes, but it doesn't mean you're trans. So don't just do it because of that. Don't carry on with it
Yeah.
because of that.
Great
Um,
advice.
I think that's it.
Well,
Oh
also,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
oh no, go on, go on.
Sorry,
Also,
one more thing. I just think it's sort of this thing I thought about. In schools, they were teaching us about trans a lot, and that sort of played a part in why I decided, okay,
what?
I'm going to be trans. Because they were talking about, being supportive of not bullying people who are LGBT and things like that. So people were talking about it a lot, like teachers, that we had to learn about it, but not once. I mean, it was a lot less common back then, but they don't talk about detransitioners
Of course not.
because that's not LGBT.
That's
So
right.
they don't talk about that. So I think they should. They should start. Anyway, that's everything, I
Well,
think.
no, if they're going to add every other letter to the alphabet,
Yeah.
LGBT, PP, poo poo, they need to add a D. I really do believe they need to add a D because you are still part of the community, friend. Just so you know,
Hmm.
I believe you are still part of this community. We, as a community, have to care for you. It is our job as a community. That's what community is. That's why I call it a cult because cult, if you look at there's more structure of a
Yeah.
cult where if you leave the cult, if you leave any cult, they do not like you. They try to
Hmm.
silence you. They call you names. I mean, they just go after you. Whereas a community, if somebody in the community is hurting, we come around you and we give you love
Hmm.
and we don't judge you and we don't, expect from me. This is your journey. It's not my
Hmm.
journey. And just because your journey took a right turn and mine took a left turn doesn't mean
Yeah.
we should be so mean and disgusting. That's why I'm telling you, I hate calling it a cult, but it just has so many
Yeah.
layers, right? Of that.
I mean, I'm not in my existence is not invalidating you, is it, Book?
That's right.
So
That is
it's like
clearly.
if you can see it that way, so can everyone else.
That's right. I'm the one of the
Yeah.
oldest trannies on the block. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like how come it doesn't bother me? How come in
No.
fact it makes me sad? And how come in fact it makes me my heart go, oh my God, this person should have never been in this space? How come?
Hmm.
I don't understand how I can have empathy and compassion for you, but these other so-called trans people get so mad at you, and it's because it's about them.
Hmm.
Right? You're invalidating me. I don't feel invalidated. I
No.
feel
Yeah.
I
And
think it's
equally,
great.
I'm not going to like say, oh, because I'm a detransitioner, you're gonna probably regret it too. But I mean, you're not.
Yes. Na-
Like, you can accept that people just have their different journeys. People are different. Like,
yes,
it's not
that's
one
right.
size fits all sort of thing.
That's right. That's right. That's why, community is a very weird word, right? I don't
Hmm.
necessarily belong to the LGBT community. My
Hmm.
community is cool people. That's how I always say my community is people who I feel like I could sit at the table with and have, and that's I literally have a large different I mean, people who watch this channel, you would be shocked. It's
Hmm.
literally hardcore conservative whatever all
Yeah.
the way to sort of whoever is on the other side. I mean, I have such a I think because I don't want to put myself in that box of, right? And neither
No,
should
yeah.
you. I don't think you do it either, Freddie. I think you're very open-minded and very much about, creating a good space in the world and that's why being
Yeah.
open about your detransition says a lot about you.
Yeah.
So so with that, I just really I'm so happy that we remained friends and that all this is going on, and I'm always here for you and whatever you need from me. And
Thank you.
send Freddie lots of love, and if you have anything that people can reach you, I'll put it in the thing. You can send it to me
Yeah.
in an email, and if people need to reach out to you. And with that, thanks everybody for watching today. I appreciate you guys so much and really giving Freddie all the love. I watched you guys so much. It means a lot. That's why people like Freddie come on the channel, because they don't feel attacked here. And Freddie's you're going to save a life. You are. If you don't save one, you'll save a lot, and you'll help these kids. No, I'm not kidding, because they'll be able to see that they can do that. They don't have to be trans, right? They can be just however they need to be. So share this with everybody. Please like it, comment, push it out there, and let's save these kids, and let's get back to like letting kids be kids. My
Yeah.
God, it's ridiculous. So hold on one sec, friend. I'll see you guys all in the next one.